Okay, we are back with another Corin's chat. Or chat with Corin. Sorry, I don't even know the name of my own channel. But this week we have a tough get. This one was hard to, we had to maneuver schedules around. I had to go through agents. I had to work different back channels. But the person we have here this week is my one and only sister, Davina.
Hello.
So, Davina, surprisingly, I don't know if you can tell from the start of this podcast with all her smiling and, what was it? I don't know, just what's the word I'm looking for? Glare coming off of your face. But Davina is a very private person and does not do a lot of interviews, so getting her on the podcast is definitely something that I'm very, very appreciative of. So I wanted to have you on for a couple different reasons because we had Jedd on last week. Dad wants to come on the podcast because he feels that we're only catering to young millennials and not hearing the older voice. So Dad will have his day in court on the podcast. But
That makes me nervous.
I figured since the podcast is fairly new and the Chat with Corin segment is also fairly new, I wanted to do like a sort of invitation to people and sort of show people, my family and people that have shaped me for who I am. So I wanted to tell people that, as nice as you look, when we were younger, you used to bully me a lot, and you were a big bully, and that sort of shaped me to the person that I am. So I bully people now with humor in a good way. But do you remember, getting your way and bullying me around until I got bigger than you and didn't let you do that anymore?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't put like all the blame on me automatically. Like, I'm sure if I was mean to you, and yes, it helped that you were smaller, but I'm sure at least half the time that I was pushing you around or chasing after you and like maybe hitting you, it wasn't hard. He was fine. But you were doing something to bother me and to instigate it.
That's true. Do you
So,
think that with bullying, that out of that can grow a greater relationship? So do you think because you were a little rough on me sometimes, and I mean, I have a great relationship with Jedd, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't feel he really bullied us as much as like, do
he
you think?
bullied
Oh,
me,
did
and
he?
I
Okay.
bullied you.
Okay.
Well, he
So
had a little bit of a temper. So, like, you didn't want to get on his bad side because then he would make sure to take it out on you.
yeah, so here's my like question or thought process. Like from what I see from a lot of movies is usually like a bully will pick on like a dorkier kid or something like that. But then at the end of the movie or they'll like work their problems out and they become like close best friends because ultimately they have the same common goals in mind or something like that, or the bully sees something in that kid that he admires or something he's jealous of that the nerdy kid will sort of teach the bully and they become best friends. So in a way I'm sort of saying, were you jealous of me as a kid and that's why you picked on me and you wanted
Okay,
to be
first
my
of
best
all,
friend?
I can't think of a movie where that happens. I'm not
The
saying it
Diary of
doesn't.
a Wimpy Kid.
Oh,
That's my like favorite
that's
movie.
after my time.
Yeah.
I should no longer be watching kids movies, but um I also think a lot of movies just end up where the the bully is the one getting in trouble, or he gets, put in his place, held responsible for
Yeah.
being a bully.
Yeah.
And then that's the lesson learned is like, you don't actually get anything out of it. Like, you're doing it to make
Yourself
for your
feel
own
better.
self-esteem, yeah, to make yourself feel better. But in the end, like, you're only going to hurt yourself, whether it's getting in trouble or there's a deeper issue there.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and just on that too, if you think about like people that you grew up with and you're no longer close with, or people you know from high school,
Mhm.
like if you can think of a few people who maybe weren't that nice, and then like if you know where they are now, most of the time, I would say this is like not based on any data, but I would say most of the time
They're
they're not
not
in a
good.
good place.
Yeah, I mean that's like the stereotypical movie too, is where they go back for a high school reunion and it's usually the nerd or the weird kid that like is like the jock, like the multimillionaire that comes in on a plane, and the high school jock football player is the one who is like, got a belly now, still wearing his high school varsity
Right.
jacket.
like if we're gonna put a moral, to the story, it's like it it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't help you. Being a good person and being nice to each other is what matters in this world.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So what was your question?
No, I mean, the moral of what I was trying to say was, and a long, rounded way of saying it was, I felt like we had a great relationship growing up, me and you, and also Jedd. So my question to you is, and a lot of people listening obviously have siblings, because if I only had only child listeners, then maybe I'm wrong. But do you think it's important for siblings to be close, while they're growing up? Because I know I have some friends that like have older siblings or younger siblings that they're like, oh, I can't relate to her. She just goes to the mall and does her things with her friends. But like, I really feel the person I am today, and I try to think that I'm a good person, is because I had a great relationship with you and Jedd, and I learned things from you. So do you, I mean, hopefully the answer is yes, but do you think that having a good relationship with your siblings is important growing up?
Yeah, I mean, like it's your safety net. It's
Hmm.
your support. It's who you turn to when things aren't going well. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, you can have friends and stuff, but like your your siblings, your parents, hopefully, like, they're there to support you and help you through tough times. Like, I think even if you do have good friends, everyone has their own lives and everyone is going through their own stuff. But um, yeah, being close to your family it's like you're really lucky if you
Yeah.
can keep good relationships, because especially as you get older, like, I know as I've gotten older, people, what the hell am I saying? They grow apart. People, have their own lives and their own.
Yeah, and
Uh,
family, you're always going to be together at dinners and events. It's like you can't
it's just
avoid a family member.
yeah. There's the bond there that is. I'm gonna say blood. It's not always blood, but there's a special something there that you don't always have with your friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important. Like, it makes you who you are, and if you can keep good relationships with people, that says a lot about who you are. Like, you're not always going to get along. You're not always going to agree. Um, you're not always going to have the same interests, and people change. But if you can, keep the people that are important to you in your life, then it doesn't. I think it.
It helps you. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's something I admire about you, Jedd, and, not to pat myself on the back, but like, I think what I try to get people who are listening to this podcast is just like to try and be a good person, a better person, if they're not already. But like, you've had close friends since high school that like you're close knit of girlfriends and guy friends. You've had them for a long time. So it's not like, we've lost friends throughout the years. And if we have, maybe it's on their half. So I don't know. I think we've done a good job of like just keeping close with people who are important to us. But switching topics on that, something that I want to ask you, being a girl, and something that I'm gonna have to deal with growing up, as a father of someone with a daughter. I've seen this in the workforce and stuff like that. Do you feel it's been hard for you as a woman? Because I've had this discussion with people recently, and it's just like with men, I can like get into an argument with another guy or something like that, and then 2 seconds later we can squash it and talk about sports or like just like forget about the topic. I feel with women there's a lot more like jealousy, and like I don't know like what else I'm looking for, but like is it harder for you, like do you feel in like the workforce or like even just out about regularly to like just be yourself? Like do you have to be more cautious of things than maybe I would if like going out as a male? I don't know.
Um. Well, I think it depends on. I don't know. It just depends on who you are, I think. Like, I think that I'll use the word timid. Like, there are some timid guys
Hmm.
that, you know, for example, like women are are more prone to saying like sorry. A
Yeah.
lot of guys are, like every time you do something, oh, sorry. Like that is just, like inherent to our, you know, I think society, like, historically is just
The women have taken like a back seat role or
yeah,
something
they've
like
always
that.
been passive and um, you know, second class
Yeah.
to men. So I think it's just how you like it's your confidence, like, and how you present yourself. Like I yeah, like I usually
It's almost just like I feel
work
like
with men
men.
and women, and you have to be able to assert yourself to men and women. Like, they both have, you can find men and women with strong personalities. And
That's
I
true.
think maybe, more people will say, well, if you come across a woman who is forward or like
More
firm,
aggressive or something.
yeah, they'll call her a bitch, which I don't know if there are terms, I can't think of them right now, that they use for guys, but usually there isn't a word like that. I feel like maybe a jerk or
Yeah.
something, but like I think, yeah, the appearance more when guys behave a certain way in the workplace, it's like, oh, he's tough and like he's a boss, where women
Women
are
might get it like, yeah, she's
a bitch.
yeah, she's tough
So,
to work with or something like that.
yeah, I mean, you're always going to work with bad people, and I think you have to, like, you're always going to work with bad managers and stuff like that. But if like in yourself, if you believe in what you're doing and like how you're managing people and how you're working with them, and you are a good worker, then I think people will see that through how you say something or how you react to something, in certain situations.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, like,
Overall thing.
yeah, and from what I've like heard, like, because I've talked to like some women that say like, oh, it's tough to like do this because this lady, will just shoot my work down or like not give me credit or something like that. And the same thing happens for men too. But like, I hope, as like the older generation phases out of like the workforce, that mindset changes, because a lot of women now, I mean, like Molly in our household is like way better at anything that I can do. Like it's like women are a lot better at doing things than men nowadays.
Well, I think that you probably see that more because they have more opportunity, and like,
Yeah, that's true.
maybe the playing field is been leveled more. You still see there are a lot of companies where, the everyone on the board or everyone at the top, they're all men. And you kind of like, I'm going to say it this way, but like stick with your pack, like if you're a man interviewing a few candidates and you relate to someone on a certain level, and I'm not saying the thing that can't happen for women, but like there are more men than women. So like,
Someone in the comment section might kill you for that, because maybe there are more women than men.
I know, I know. So like, I should have, I should have pulled Google up on my other screen, but I know I'm gonna get.
I give you a
now.
lot of, I'll give you a lot of credit
like,
for.
If that is true,
Yeah.
which I think it is,
No one actually knows. So if someone has
like
a
a
real
data
stat,
point.
it can't be true.
Then the dude will relate to more dudes, and they want to bring them into the club. Like, look at the people in government. It's a boys' club.
Yeah,
and that's
especially
changing.
with Trump. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, hopefully with more progressive candidates like Bernie Sanders or someone like that, there are more, women or like minorities in their cabinet. So that's a good thing. And I do think it's changing. It's just like I get worried for Nix, because like I hear Nix, my daughter, if people don't know, but like I hear stories of women, and like it's just like it seems like there's a lot more like, and I could be wrong. I mean, there's pettiness on men's side too, but like it's
Competition.
yeah, there's more competition and jealousy, I feel like, between women, which makes it harder for you guys to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish in the workforce.
Well, like I think, yeah, in the past, like you'll see that societally it's always been like that.
Yeah.
But I think it is changing because people are getting called out for more things like that. It's like, why is she a bitch? Because she said she wanted this done, or because she told you to do something and she's your boss? Like, and I do find too, just professionally, there are a lot more like support systems now for women, specifically to help other women, which I think is good. And, that spreads, and there are more spaces like that where women are helping other women, and that's how we're growing together in the band.
Okay, so that's that. That makes me feel a little bit more comfortable that Nix will be able to get a job and not have to feel any type of.
I mean, it's just like, oh, she's a woman. Like she's not going to get a job, but I think like if she's qualified and she works hard, like those are the traits that.
But even just petty like high school stuff that like guys I feel like don't go through as much that women go through. Like I know with you in high school, whether it was soccer or like whatever, it's like lunchroom drama that like is just so petty. Girls hold on to, like, look at Mean Girls. Like there's no male movie to Mean Girls really. Like Mean Girls is a bunch of high school girls sitting around a table, all like talking shit about each other, but they're best friends. Like there's no guy movies like that, and maybe there are.
There might be. There aren't as many as like girls being terrible to each other, I think. But it still does happen, and I think it's just probably more obvious with girls. Like I mean, high school can be super awkward and uncomfortable, and you're trying to figure out who your friends are and like who you are, and so I think even for guys, like while it may seem like everything is cool and you have it under control and you have your friends, like that may not be the case.
Oh yeah,
completely. Where sure. It may just, I think with girls, and this, I don't know if this is scientific at all, but like, women are known for being more emotional or just more, being more honest and open and putting their feelings out there and like wanting to talk about things, like probably more than guys. Like you hear it in relationships all the time. Mm-hmm. So, that's just like you would see that more. And it becomes more of a story, like, and that's why they make all these films about it, because there's more drama associated with it.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, that's why, like, I feel like if you do fight through that, girls being more open and emotional, it leads to a better relationship between your real girlfriends, whereas, like, guys, I have relationship with guys that are, like, my friends, and, like, we're close, but maybe we're not as close as, some women are because they've gone through, like, really expressing stuff that a guy won't tell another guy, like deep down stuff, because like maybe it's not manly to express something that a girl might express, like, so there's probably benefits too, from being more emotional.
And you don't even like have to, like, there are people that I've known for a while and I may not see them for, a year or more or something because we don't live close anymore, but you may not share like all your life events or details with someone, but when you see them again, you can still be close because you like things in common or a connection. So I just think it's different for every relationship and what you have in common, the values that you share.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let me switch the subject a little bit. There's one main topic I want to get to, but before that, I want to ask you. No, this will make you smile. So I know there's a lot of cat lovers in my comment section. They kill me because I always I say I hate cats and I'm allergic to cats, and I think our whole family's allergic to cats.
Yeah, I had some reactions.
But you recently just got a dog, so can you tell everybody about your dog? And because we never had dogs growing up, we never had pets growing up. So what made you come to the final conclusion to get a pet? So talk about Mabel a little bit. For all the dog lovers out there.
Really sweet. We never grew up with dogs. Mm-hmm. I never was really serious about getting a dog, and our friends have dogs, so we kind of always talked about it as an idea. And, I think like a lot of people will say, well, once you go and you look for a dog, like you don't go out looking for a dog, but you see a dog and, we adopted her. So it's like, we weren't planning on adopting a dog, but we're like, let's just go look. And it was around the holidays. And of course, I think that's when a lot of people gift dogs.
Isn't that the song? How much is that doggy in the window? Or is that another word I'm filling in there?
No, you sang that right.
It's doggy, right?
Yeah, it's doggy.
Are you sure? How much is that doggy in the window? In
Yeah,
that
that's right.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you lived out that song.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what we were singing when we went to the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Um, so yeah, we went there. We were just like, we had friends in town, and they were pressuring us to get a dog. So we went and we gave some like information about the type of dog we were looking for. We wanted like a kind of low key, medium sized, not high energy dog.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely got a low key dog.
Yeah.
So what kind of dog is it?
She is a Plot Hound mix, so that's like a brindle dog. It's the state dog of North Carolina, and they're known for hunting bears. However, Mabel is, I mean, it sounds exciting, except she's the complete opposite of that. She's scared of everything.
Yeah,
so,
but like like I think if it came down to it, she'd have a better shot of another dog of taking down a bear if that ever came to, if that ever happened in your front yard or something like that.
I mean, maybe, but like if a bear knocked on our front door and I went to open it, she'd run into her kennel. Like, she's very timid. I don't know if something happened to her, whatever. Like, she's the sweetest dog. She's so sweet to us, and she's sweet to other people. Besides, like, people coming in the house, it's her space and it's her like safe zone now. So yeah. she's not welcoming or friendly, but like she'll warm up to people. So she's just like a little fearful right now, but we're working on it. And
I look at it like this, like, so Molly and her brothers and like her whole family are black belts. They would, every time I'm with them or like a situation arises, or I've seen this in college with her brother or with Molly, if they've gotten into like a little scrum or an altercation, they would never break out any of their karate. But if life or death was on the line and somebody attacked them and like actually touched them and put them in some hold, they're breaking out their black belt and they're going to kill you. I feel like your dog, as much as she's showing you right now, like, I'm not messing with any of these motherfuckers coming to the door. If life or death, a bear was knocking on your door and was like biting on you, Mabel would kick in and like whoop that bear's butt.
I mean, I like to think that. Let's say that's going to happen.
You should think that for protection reasons.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, if I'm home alone, I like having her around. Yeah. Because I feel like she'll be there for me, or maybe she'll do something. Yeah. If anything were to happen.
I think about that all the time. Like, even when I'm in my like bedroom and like the dogs aren't here, but I'm like a little wimp. So like in my house, I will be in the bed and I'll lock the bedroom door, but like ultimately, what if someone breaks into the house, they can just kick that door. But I just like knowing that like that little lock of the door is going to keep me safe if someone.
Yeah, that's weird. I do the opposite. I like crack it and I just keep an eye on it. Like,
that would get me more scared, because then in the middle of the night your door will open up more, and then you're like, did I open the door last night and forget?
Oh, can we change the topic? This is freaking me out. We weren't supposed to talk about this stuff. I don't want people thinking that we're.
No, the idea of what I was trying to say is Mabel's going to protect you and that she's a good dog. So right now she's not showing you that she's doing much, but deep down she'll kick somebody's ass.
That's the idea.
Yes.
That's the idea. She's a friend, she's a companion, and she will protect us.
Okay, so we're on board for people having pets now, because growing up, I always said, I will never have a dog. I don't want a dog. If somebody's dog passes away, I don't have sympathy for them. But now I'm the complete opposite. No, I'm the complete opposite now.
Right. Well, you couldn't relate to those people. And that was the same for me. I'm still not a big animal person, but like, I freaking love Mabel. Yeah. Like, I don't care that much no, I actually like other people's dogs more now.
You like dogs.
I'm like, oh, dog, because they all remind me of Mabel. I'm like, you kind of look like Mabel, so you're so cute. I'm gonna pet you. Whereas, like, I was like, before, but that was because we didn't have our own dogs. We didn't have our own pets. It's kind of like children too, like you love your kid.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You love your kid a lot more than other people's kids, even though you pretend or show that you like them.
That's a really good point. As you say that, Nix is starting to cry, which is she'll put herself back to sleep.
That's good parenting.
But do you buy into the theory that you'll start to look like your dog?
Did you just make that up?
No, that's a theory that people say that their dog owners start to look like. I think the same theory goes with dog owners starting to look like their dogs, and then also
For like a pet.
relationships that like they start to look like brother and sister and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
You've never heard that? You've definitely heard the dogs
something
looking like
that.
their
I don't know
their
what
owner.
you said was completely accurate. Maybe, yeah. Like you start to look alike. Yeah.
I could see Mabel in you a little bit now that I'm.
I mean, actually, she has like. What'd you say?
I could see a little Mabel in you right now as I'm looking at you.
Well, you haven't even like met her in person. Maybe it's her eyes. There isn't much about a dog
I
that
don't
you
know. I
can,
was
like,
just making that up. You don't have
I
to
know-
start like
I
defending
know, I'm
yourself
just
of looking
saying,
at
like,
the dog. But people listening, I think people, if you are listening, let us know if someone's ever said that you look like your dog.
I would like to know if that it is a thing. I'm sure you could just go on Instagram and like hashtag
Definitely.
like whatever
people
the
dogs or some people who look
hashtag.
like dogs.
yeah.
Okay.
I look like my dog.
Yeah, that'd actually be a good account if it's not out there. Is like people who look like dogs or dog owners and some variation of
I mean,
how
you
you
can
look
do
like
that
your
with
dog.
anything. You can be like, oh, this actor looks like this,
I guess so, but it's more fun
actor.
with people and their dogs.
Yeah, because they're a living thing. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me get to the nitty gritty of what I wanted to ask you about.
Okay. I thought that was it.
No, that wasn't it. This is it right here. So you are a phenomenal soccer player for everybody out there listening. You recently, though, and I can't relate to this, and I want to ask how the process was and what it felt like. But you had a serious injury playing soccer. Now, we believe it was a cheap shot by someone, and they're lucky that me and Jedd aren't in Denver because we'd be Mabel bear attacking them right now. But what happened? What injury did you have? And if you could just talk about your injury a little bit, because I've never, I've never really had a serious injury.
Me neither.
Oh, so okay, so explain your injury. What happened, and can you talk about the injury a little bit?
Sure. So I can go into like the situation, the context. I was play in an indoor soccer league, like year round. So I can play in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
I can still play in the winter. So anyway, I was playing a game in January, and
We don't need the dates. What was the injury?
oh, sorry. Good. Keep me in check. I forgot that I'm being videoed right now.
Because it was something.
It was the end of the game. Was getting chippy. We were up.
I didn't ask all that. I said, what was the injury?
No. But this matters.
Okay,
Because
okay.
I'm saying, like, you want to know, like, this situation,
I
whatever.
don't. I want to know what the injury is.
So this guy came in because it's co-ed,
Mm-hmm.
and the ball dropped. It was like a 50-50 ball. I turned to go, like, put my foot on it. I was in front of their goal, and he like did a 90-degree angle turn or something, and just came in and just whacked like the ball as hard as he could, but actually got more of my leg
Mm-hmm.
than the ball. And I haven't seen a video of this or anything, but the way that he kicked me, he kicked through both my bones, and he broke my fibula and my tibia. So he completely, broke through both of them. So it was definitely unnecessary force, and it was reckless because I've never heard of that happen before.
So my initial question is, what was do you remember what the pain was like when that happened?
It just,
because I'm always curious. Like, I watch these basketball players like Gordon Hayward and all these people get like drastic leg injuries, and it's just like,
well,
do you feel that pain right away and like the whole time to the hospital?
I actually heard like a little crack, and
Okay.
I fell to the ground, and I was like, this is not right. I'm not getting up, not even going to try. Like, it felt just like a lot of pressure on my leg.
Uh-huh.
And like, I had my shin guard on too, and my like tightest soccer socks, which is probably good because like kept things
Compression is good.
back.
Yeah.
And I was wearing shin guards, like, not 5-pound shin guards, but they're the freaking shin guards that everyone wears when they play soccer.
Yeah.
I just fell to the ground, and I was just.
So is it like, are you screaming in agony? I mean, like.
Yeah, I was just like yelling.
Oh, okay.
And cursing. And I was like, what the F did he do? Why the F did he kick me that hard? Like, I was just in shock more so than like in a lot of discomfort. Like, I don't remember like shooting pain, but I just remember freaking out because I knew something wasn't right and I was so pissed off and I wasn't going anywhere. They're like, "Do you want us to call the ambulance?" I'm like, "I'm not getting up, so
Yeah.
probably."
So
Yeah.
you went in an ambulance to the hospital, and then they like casted your
They
leg and like,
well, they took X-rays and
yeah.
yeah, they saw that my bone's broken, so I stayed overnight.
Uh-huh. So, and the reason I ask you this is because like I know you had a lot of, and I spoke to a lot of people recently, or a couple different people that have gone through some medical like issues of working with like receptionists and like getting information from doctors, but like you didn't have a really easy go of like working with people on like figuring out like bill cost and like wasn't it like hard for you to
Oh, like
like yeah, like
insurance.
going through insurance and like the whole process of like figuring out like what
Well,
next
yeah,
steps are
it's
for your injury and like payments and stuff like that?
yeah, I mean it was very whirlwind. Like I didn't have a choice. I was in, I took an ambulance, don't know how much that costs.
Yeah.
Anyone helping me doesn't know that. They're,
Yeah, they're not
they're
going to tell you, hey, this is
professional.
an
Yeah, they're
$800 ride to the hospital or something like that.
EMS. Right. Then
Which
I
they
get
said, I saw a recent study that said you would get to the hospital faster with an Uber than you would an ambulance now, which I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
I mean, that's probably true, but
mhm.
like I don't know how I would have gotten to an Uber and the Uber's not taking out a stretcher.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
well, yeah, it depends what you're going to the hospital for. And where you are. And then yeah, I just like it was a new doctor every minute and I'm like, "Oh, that's $500. That's another
Yeah.
$500. That's probably another." Um and then I stayed overnight, hospital stay, and then I spoke to the doctor the next day. He was like, "You could do full leg cast or surgery." And I was just, and like the full leg cast sounded terrible. So I'm like, okay, I need to make this decision right now because
Yeah.
like, and so I made a decision. I was like, I'll get surgery. I'm like, I don't know how much that costs. So it was actually a Saturday and I tried to call insurance and they don't have any representatives on Saturday to like help you with your insurance. They're like, oh no, our benefits or whatever office it is closed on Saturday, Sunday. But you should talk to the hospital and they'll send in the paperwork. I'm like,
Right.
that's why I'm calling.
Yeah, it's almost like the insurance makes it so hard to like you're in a state where your leg is broken and like you're just like thinking of all these different things. Like, am I gonna go to work tomorrow? Like who's gonna walk my dog? Just like everything's running through your mind and now they're putting like a decision on you to like, that could potentially set you back a couple $1,000s or like just put you in a spot where you don't want to be and you have to make that decision while you're under a lot of stress. Like I just feel like the whole process that you went through, because I remember you telling me and like having to call all of these different like doctors and people, like because like they were overcharging you or you were just wanted an explanation on payments, is like
Oh,
you go to a
that was
bank
my
and like there's bank tellers, but then there's also like, advisors like on the side who give you advice on what you should be doing. There should almost be like an agent or an advisor at the hospital that like tells you like, hey, this is what happens if you make this decision. This is what happens if you make this decision, and not just like, here are your choices. Make a decision. Like the doctor should be giving you a little bit more information than just like, here are your options. Choose one of these options.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a business, so
Yeah.
they don't care. They say, "Oh, you're covered." I'm like, "Covered for what?" Like, I have to go back through my 20 page document that I got a year ago.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I actually with an old my previous health insurance, it was an HMO, so it's like that means everything was in house, and still I would show up at an appointment for like a specialist, and that's actually I think what you were talking about. Like I went to because I broke my fibula last year.
Yeah. You
This was
said you didn't have any injuries before this.
just in the last 2 years. And then nothing before that. I
Okay.
don't know what the hell happened to me. No, but like I just talked to a doctor. Literally sat in a chair, talked to a doctor, and it was $600.
Jesus.
And I'm like, this is all in network. Like everyone in this building works for the same company. Like you are the company. You all work together. It's not like, there aren't like partnerships or there isn't like an insurance broker and an insurance company, whatever, how the other ones work. But I was like, I can't, why can't I can't come to a desk and someone can say, look me up in the system because you work for my insurance and tell me how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
But because they're not, held responsible. So.
Yeah. And it comes down to, and this happened to me at like the dermatologist before too. Like they'd be like, hey, we can check on that. And I was like, all right, if you check on it, how much is it? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm just the doctor. You got to go through insurance. Right. And then it's like, you got to call some hotline and then explain like what you're trying to get done. And the doctor doesn't tell you, or the dermatologist doesn't tell you exactly what he's going to do. So like, and even if he does, you have to relay that message as some type of doctor. So if you like mess up or leave out a word, then like they don't have the accurate information to tell you how much it's going to cost. It's just like our health insurance seems like you said, it's such a big business that it's just like you don't get a clear-cut answer on anything. Like there's so many hands involved in it and so many moving parts that like it's just out of your control of what you're going to be paying, which sucks. Whereas other countries, it's just free healthcare where like you can go into a hospital, get care, and leave. Like you pay. I don't know how it works, but you pay taxes for it or something.
Yeah, you pay into the system. Well, at least I know in the Netherlands, they have more social programs, so they pay like a crap ton more taxes than we do.
Yeah.
And they get more because of it.
But I wouldn't mind that if I knew that everything was going to be covered and I didn't have to worry about getting injured and then having to figure out how much I'm going to have to pay for something,
Right. I mean, well, the argument is also like the argument will be made by wealthier people or more well-off people that can pay for, better care. That if you can pay for it, then you should be able to pay for it to get the care that you want.
Yeah, but then
and not everyone wants to have just uniformity where they're all going to the same doctors and things.
Yeah, that's true, and those people are stuck-up assholes. But like you have people like Jimmy Kimmel, whose like son had a heart disease or whatever, the heart,
and he got the best care in the country.
Well, he got the best care in the country, but he also, came out and said, I'm very fortunate that I can pay for this, but a lot of other people can't. Like he was a great voice for, people who can't afford that type of surgery,
Right. Well, it's just really sad. Like, yeah, I've had to go to the doctor a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm lucky because I am able to pay for it. I have a job where I can make money to pay for it.
Yeah.
Pay enough for it because the, health insurance costs are crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're just, going through those experiences and like seeing like actual costs and like what was covered and still seeing what I had to pay out of pocket. I'm like, why? Like people that have serious health injuries that they're born with or health issues that they're born with, or maybe that are onset throughout their life. But like, even it's just crazy to me if you're born with it. It's like, you don't have a shot. Like you can't pay to take care of yourself because you can't pay for care the way that how much it costs.
Yeah, I mean, you hear stories of people with, I don't know, like cancer or these crazy diseases that they say, like even if they're cured, they're going to be even more miserable when they get out of the hospital because they're just going to be so much in debt that like they'll just be paying it back forever, and I sort of saw that. I'd never really been to a hospital and had to experience that until Molly was pregnant, and you see like the bills of just like staying over in a hospital and like, getting a meal in the hospital. Like it's just like you're going to like the most expensive steakhouse in the world if you get some type of soup and crackers from a hospital. So I don't know. It's just it's sad. And, that brings me into my next point, which hopefully it changes eventually with someone like Bernie Sanders, who I know I'm very passionate about. And, I came to Denver and there's a big mural. I don't know if that's still there, but there was a big mural of Bernie Sanders on the wall. But how has the vibe, or like, have you heard or seen any rallies or anything around Bernie Sanders in Denver recently? Because Denver's very progressive, where they're usually on the forefront of like a new candidate. So are they for Bernie still? Are they for Beto or Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris?
I don't know. I mean, I know when Bernie was campaigning. Oh, I went to his rally. What was it? 3 years ago or
Yep.
something like
Yeah, I
that.
remember.
Um, yeah, and like Boulder is a very progressive liberal town where, they have a lot of people that are, standing up for environmental causes
Yeah.
and things like that. So no one's come around, but I'm sure they just haven't made it this way yet.
Yep.
Because also, Colorado is called like the purple state
Mhm.
because it has like, I think I'm saying this right, but a very conservative like history, and it's not until recently that a lot more, or that the state has turned blue, and
It's like a new wave of people that are moving out to like Denver and stuff
well,
like
yeah,
that, right?
like everyone in the country is like it was the fastest growing city.
What do you think that causes? Because you lived in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn sort of became like a popular spot like that where a lot of people were moving to, and there was like all these like boutique restaurants and little hipstery music halls, and Denver sort of became that. Like,
This
what?
lifestyle.
Uh-huh. Just like the
I mean, it's
outdoorsy
not,
life, like more of like accommodates a hipster or something like that.
yeah, well, it's not like I mean, I don't know how many people. There are a lot of people here, but there's a city, that's pretty centralized, and then
Mhm.
you have a lot of the suburbs. But I think you can get both here. It's like you can uh, come and live in Denver and like go out for drinks and food, and like it's becoming a I would say happening spot where like just a lot of up and coming a lot of people are opening up offices and restaurants here,
Yeah.
and then at the same time you can escape the city very very easily because you most likely have a car to live here because it's not easy to walk everywhere like you can in the city, and the public we have buses but in a tram line, but you don't have access to everywhere you want to go. So yeah, it's a good balance. I was gonna say in New York, like if you live in the city, unless you own a car in the city, then you can get out more easily. But
Yeah.
still getting out of the city can be a nightmare on the weekends. So it's just not, it's not as convenient as living in another city where you can get out.
And what about? I know when I was out there, there was a lot of homeless like population. Is it still a lot of homeless people in Denver? Because I guess the reason for that is that it's pretty progressive, like law wise. So homeless people are more. I don't know.
Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen. I think the they're pretty lax, yeah, about uh, with the homeless population. Like, I mean, if you go into the downtown area, there are some shelters, and there are a lot of homeless people camped outside, similar to probably like Portland or San Francisco, from what I hear. Um, but the other reason is also because it's a really like mild climate, and um, I don't know if they're people that have traveled from the West Coast or whatever, but it's it's warmer here than it is cold in
Hmm.
Denver, not like mountains. So it can get really cold, but for the most part, you can be here. Like in the winter, you can get 60, 70-degree weather. So I think that's what will draw, more transient people
Yeah.
here. And then also, yeah, I just don't think that they have focused so much on like they're not
Cleaning it
kicking
up.
people out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Kyle had mentioned that when we were in California was like I don't think they do a. I mean, I don't know what they're doing to help the cause, but it doesn't seem like they're doing enough to get people off the streets. And
Well, I mean,
I
they
saw
don't.
that in Denver when I was there.
Know. Like, where are they gonna go? Like,
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
just
like I'm sure there's an abandoned building somewhere that they can, the state of Denver can, the
this,
state of Colorado can like
Mhm.
rent out and like have those people live in there or something like that, and just get them off the streets. Like, there's got to be something that they could do.
there are other like let's say laws or that they can put in place, or other funding that they can do to help the homeless, but
Yeah.
that's not taxpayers are not going to want to spend money on that.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up because I hear Nick's crying in the other room, so I'm gonna go be a good
I'm
father
going to eat my
and
chicken
grab her.
dinner.
Yeah, and you're making chicken dinner, so I really appreciate you coming on because I know, like you said, you are a private person. So I wanted to show my brother and also my sister. So next, Dad will be on, Mom will be on. But I thank you coming on. Thank you for coming on. Hopefully this was okay and not too bad. But I wanted people to hear about, your injury a little bit and just the process you had to go through, that it wasn't easy for, you, even someone with insurance, and going through that whole process. And also, yeah, that to me, that was interesting. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, because a lot of people have gotten injured probably, and a lot of people have gone to the hospital and really have had a hard time of just getting in touch with their insurance companies to figure out what the cost of things were. And that's not how things should be. So
stressful. Yeah.
That's my take on it. So thank you. Get back to your chicken and whatever else you're cooking. Clean your handbags behind you. But love you. Thank you for coming on. And now you're done, and I'll get back to my regularly scheduled program with some of my friends who are more interesting than you.
Way to end it on that. All right. Love you too.
Okay. Love you. Thank you.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.